Village of Wheeling special meeting is now called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Trustee Argyris?
Here.
Trustee Brady?
Here.
Trustee Vogel?
Here.
Trustee Here?
Here.
Trustee Lang?
Here.
Trustee Hein informed the board that he would not be here this evening. President Abiscato.
Here. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of January 3rd.
So moved.
Motion made by Trustee Argyris, second by Trustee Brady. Roll call, please.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Abiscato.
Yes. Proclamations, congratulatory awards, and a presentation by Representative Sidney Mathias.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the board. It's always a pleasure to be here, and it's always a bigger pleasure to bring back money to the village, money that your residents has forwarded to Springfield for our safekeeping, and now we're returning some of that to you. So tonight, I would like to present the village with a check for $150,000. That's $150,000 for the
Stabilization.
Stream Bank stabilization, which was, I know, much needed. I walked the grounds with many of you several years ago, and I know the project is now completed, but as we normally do in Springfield, we're always late in making our payments. So,
But they get here.
but they get here, and that's the most important thing. So if I can present this, the real check hopefully is in the mail, as they say. But if I can present this
Thank you.
to you from the state of Illinois for the sum of $150,000 as our share of contribution to help you with that much-needed project.
Thank you. Nine by 12, Rusty. Thank you.
Unfortunately, I have to take the check back. But the real one,
The real one has been cashed.
it has been cashed.
It has been
Great.
cashed.
That's good to hear.
And
They
thank
were
you.
faster than I thought they were.
Thank you
very
for
much.
always
Thank you.
supporting us and giving to us and helping us when we do need some. We thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Appointments and confirmation. I'd like to have for your approval the appointment of Ellen Simon to the Board of Health.
So move. Second.
Motion made by Trustee Adjiris, second by Trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Abiscato.
Yes. And the clerk will now administer the oath.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Alan Simon, have been appointed to the Board of Health
I'm appointed to the Board of Health
in the Village of Wheeling
in the Village of
in the
Wheeling
counties of Cook and Lake,
in the counties of Cook and Lake.
do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of office of Board of Health Commissioner
of office of the Board of Health Commissioner
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
We're always thankful that we have residents in the Village of Wheeling that have a desire to help and serve our community. Because without that help, we could not do what we do, because it takes more than 6 or 7 people and our staff to do that. We need those that honor us by saying, we'd like to help. So thank you. We appreciate it, and we look forward to many years on the Board of Health. Thank you. And our Health Commissioner is here this evening, the Chairman of the Board of Health, Ms. Gross, and also our Health Inspector, Bev Flavey. So we thank you also for giving us a better place to live and helping us to be healthy. So thank you. Thank you very much. Have any citizens' concerns and comments?
No, Madam President.
We have to look. We have no staff reports.
No, ma'am.
And we have a discussion presentation by the Workforce Board of Northern Cook County, presented by Mr. Vantopoulos.
Before Peter begins, I'd just like to start by saying with us tonight are representatives from the Workforce Board of Northern Cook County, along with several wheeling manufacturers, to report on the success of a pilot internship program that was developed recently as part of a regional effort to address two key challenges. First, to address increasing demand for workers from area manufacturers, and two, to help change the perception of manufacturing jobs among area youth. As you've heard from our monthly industrial tours, the common concern expressed by our manufacturers relates to difficulty in finding skilled workers, and staff is aligned with Village and the Workforce Board in an effort to tackle this problem. Peter has been active in helping to build this program, and he will introduce our guests.
Thank you very much. Over the past several months, we've been working closely with the Workforce Board to create and actively support this program to introduce youth to careers in manufacturing. And it's really become an economic development issue, and that we have a number of manufacturing companies in Wheeling who are on a growth trajectory and are having trouble filling key positions in their organizations. There are a number of alliances that we've formed with outside organizations to help address this issue, and the one that we wanted to highlight tonight is this manufacturing career internship program that we've supported with the Workforce Board. With us tonight is Mr. Rand Haas with Medusa Consulting, who is acting as the project coordinator of this program. David Lyman from the Workforce Board is here. There were 3 companies from Wheeling who participated in this project, who all intended to be here. We learned today that 2 could not make it tonight, but Kimber Bellis from Angiotech did manage to make it to the presentation tonight, so thank you for coming. And I'd like to invite Rand Haas to provide an overview of this program.
Thank you very much, Madam President. John, thank you, Peter, for the nice introduction. My name is Rand Haas. I work with Medusa Consulting. When I was hired by the Workforce Board to develop a pilot program last year to solve 3 major problems. First problem was manufacturers, as Peter pointed out, cannot find qualified employees. The National Association of Manufacturers pointed out recently there are over 600,000 open jobs available in the United States that cannot be filled. And the part of the problem is there's no pool of young youth coming out of college, coming out of high school to fill that void. This program addresses that need. The other need it does, it also addresses the economic needs of the communities. Because without a strong manufacturing base, there can be no economic growth. The third thing about this program that I really like is that it gives people jobs, which is the best part about it. It's a wonderful program. It's a federally funded program. It's made possible through the collaborative efforts of the communities, the economic development people, the schools, community colleges, and the manufacturers. And without their help, this couldn't be possible. Basically, I'll just describe it quickly. It's a program for high school graduates out of high school looking for careers. These people are 18 to 21-year-old. They're looking for something to do. They want a job. Some of them just got out of the service. They're looking for a job. Where can they go? Well, everyone has heard awful stories about manufacturing. This program turns that paradigm around. It has 5 parts to it that makes it so powerful. First, we put them through a boot camp where they meet a number of manufacturers and talk to them one-on-one. They talk to these role models. How did you get started? Where did you get your start in manufacturing? Where's my career path? Where can I go? After that, then they have an internship, and they meet with the manufacturers. And last year we were lucky to have 3 manufacturers. This year we have 7 manufacturers from Wheeling involved with this thing, I'm proud to say.
That's great.
Then after the internship, the employer has opportunity, if they want to hire the person or not. Last year, 85% of the kids going through this program were either hired by the manufacturer or are going to school for advanced degrees in manufacturing. And 85% throughput's pretty darn good. So we're very happy with this program. Now, one of the people who made this possible are companies like Kimber Bellis at Angiotech. I'd like her to come up for just a minute and talk about her experiences. Kimber is the Human Resource Director, I believe, at Angiotech. Yes.
Good evening. A lot of you know me. I've been here a few times, but Angiotech, as you know, is a medical device manufacturer located on Palatine Road in Wheeling. We experienced a 15% growth in business the last 2 years. And what that means is that we need more workers. We are able to fill the manufacturing operators or machine operators quite easily, but what we needed were more the skill set. We need someone who can at least have some people skills, or more the soft skills is what we were looking for. And through this program, we were able to interview and talk to a lot of the kids, and a lot of them are looking to go to a company and stay there and grow with them. And that's exactly what we were looking for. We were very fortunate to find our intern, and she happened to be a Wheeling resident, so that was even better. So we look forward to being in the program again, and we've had nothing but good things happen from it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kimber, for that. I also want to introduce Dave Lyman from the Workforce Board of Northern Cook County. He's in charge, he's the manager of the Youth Division for Workforce Board. So that's it in a nutshell. It's been a great program. We want to expand it. We want to create a pipeline of qualified employees for manufacturing. And also we want to change how American manufacturing is perceived in our nation. That's one of the greatest things we have to do is change the perception of manufacturing. It's no longer dark and dirty and dangerous. You need to be smart, you need to be hardworking, you need to be a problem solver. Those are the people we're looking for. So, with your help, the help of Peter Velopoulos, and the manufacturers, the Workforce Board, we plan to continue this. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
I do, Madam
Yes,
President.
Trustee Adjuris.
How do we plan on getting the word out, the message out, that this program even exists in our community?
Well, there are a number of things that we've done to advertise for the program. Peter can speak more specifically about the meetings that he's had in order to recruit businesses in to participate. But in the broader scope, I believe that this meeting is being recorded, in fact, for the Workforce Board members to take to a higher level and spread the word at I believe, national level.
Well, yes, as a matter of fact, this program has been recognized by the National Workforce Council as a state-of-the-art best practices. And we've been asked to speak at the National Convention in May in Las Vegas on this very program.
And Peter, could you say a few things about how local businesses can get involved or people can get more information?
Well, I should point out that this program was a pilot that was created just several months ago, so the participants were, in effect, hand-selected. We chose a number of companies in Wheeling that we knew were looking to hire as part of their growth trajectory. We worked closely with the Workforce Board to identify the youth, and now that we know this program has been a raging success, we will be more publicly promoting this through the newsletter. We can put information on the village website, and I know they're looking to build a pipeline of additional manufacturers throughout Northern Cook County to support this program going forward. So this will become a more public discussion going forward now that we know that it's getting some momentum, and we'll be working with the Workforce Board going forward to promote that.
Just last question. Are you seeing a lot of 21-year-old, 20-year-olds that are coming out of college, have nowhere to go, getting into the internship program here?
Absolutely.
Changing gears a little bit,
Yeah, they're looking for some direction, and some of them have tried something else, and they've never even thought about manufacturing before.
Right.
And that's the wonderful thing about this program. It introduces them to a high-paying career that has a viable future for them. In fact, one thing I always point out in the boot camp, so the average income for manufacturing after you've been established for a while is over $75,000, which is a lot of money. And these people don't realize that. And it's clean, it's usually air-conditioned, and that's why when we visit these manufacturing facilities here in the Wheeling area, the kids are just amazed. It does not meet their expectations at all. And that's why we had 11 of them were offered a job, and they took a job in manufacturing.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have anything else?
If I may.
Yes, Trustee Brady.
You know, through our high school here, we got that STEM program that's been going on for a little while, and in traveling through some of the manufacturers over the past few years with Peter and as a board and seeing what our companies are doing, you get to notice what was going on with this type of program, where the manufacturers are all complaining about the lack of experience, the lack of kids that want to get into manufacturing. And once they get a taste of it, or at least get a visual on the job and what it entails in the high-tech industry that it really is, it's not the days of the old dirty, greasy machine shops. These guys are like doctors almost. They wear white smocks and they walk around these you eat off the floor in any one of the places that we visited. And I think you're going to have to change that image, and that's going to be a big thing. Change the image of this job, and not only to the kids, but to the parents. Because, you know, most of these parents today, they don't want their kids to get into this because they still have that old image of manufacturing, of a manufacturing company. You know, a dirty, dingy place where you have to go to work every day and come home greasy, you know, and that's not the case. I think you know, that should be a program to change the parents, because I think with the parents, they'll know whether their kids are set up to be doctors, lawyers, or whatever. I mean, every parent knows their kid, and they'd be wasting their time to send them to college to be something that they know they're not going to live up to. But if the parents seen where their kids could go because they're good with their hands and they're good with their minds and mechanical things, they could get them interested in this early on.
You're exactly right, and it has to start here. It has to start, you know, like these kinds of meetings where people get the word out that there is a possibility of high-paying, well-paying jobs. In fact, I've always pointed out to the interns that there's a possibility that if you do a good job, your company will pay for your college education. So I always offer them the choice. Now, if you have $20,000, you can pay for it yourself, or you let your employer pay for it. So we always let the interns decide which is best for them. But the idea here is that, you know, they are not aware of these opportunities. That's the wonderful thing about this program. It gives them the opportunity, the hands-on. Some of them are very good at learning once they're shown what to do. They're not good at taking ACT tests, but they're very good, very smart people once you show them what to do. And those are the people that manufacturing is looking for today.
Angiotech is someplace I've been several times, and it's true. We can eat off the floors over there, and everybody has their white coats on and everything, and it is an opportunity for all the children, the young adults, because they're not children, they're young adults,
Right.
to be able to get into something that they knew nothing about. I think it's a great program. I hope we can continue to do it, and we will make sure that we continue to do it so that we're involved with that. And thank you for helping us to work through that work program.
Well, I'd like to thank you, John, and Peter very much for all the help you've been doing. It's so wonderful. I couldn't have done it without you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 13B, ordinance approving a First Amendment to restated redevelopment agreement for the Fresh Farms Development comprising a part of the Crossroads Central Business District, TIF District of the Village of Wheeling, Illinois.
Mr. Ferrillo.
Thank you, President Abiscato. Before you tonight is an amendment to the restated redevelopment agreement with the Fresh Farms entity. The amendment cleans up some administrative provisions in the redevelopment agreement. First, as part of the RDA, the developer was dedicating 15 feet of right-of-way along Dundee and Milwaukee to the village. The change to the agreement provides that the developer will convey that property to the village in fee simple. The village will thus have more control over that property. Secondly, the change relates to the note structure that was originally laid out in the agreement. The first agreement provided that the repayment of what we owe the developer at this point, which is $3.5 million, would come in the form of developer notes no less than 2 but no more than 4 developer notes that would be issued at the time all of the eligible costs were presented. The amendment provides that we can issue 1 note, which in fact is going to be issued relative to the repayment, and I believe closing this week. So again, these are administrative cleanups. Relative to the developer notes, the interest rate on the amount of money that remains on the TIF incentive is 7%. That interest will begin to accrue as of today's date. So those are the changes, relatively simple, administrative in nature. If there are any questions, I can answer those.
Do we have any questions?
So moved.
We have a motion by trustee Adgiris, second by trustee Brady. Roll call, please.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hare?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Evans-Scott?
Yes. Now open the public hearing regarding a 6B incentive for an industrial building located at 2232 South Foster Avenue.
Need a motion?
We need a motion to
So
open.
move.
Motion made by trustee Adgiris.
Second.
Second by trustee Lang. Roll call, please.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hare?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Evans-Scott?
Yes. Director Bendopoulos?
Thank you. For your consideration tonight is an application for 6B reclassification for industrial property located at 2230 to 2232 South Foster Avenue. It's an industrial building of approximately 8,000 square feet in size. It has been vacant now for approximately 3 years. The owner and the prospective tenant are now standing before you. They are planning a $60,000 to $70,000 renovation budget for the building. The prospective tenant is Direct Envelope, I apologize, which is a custom envelope manufacturer who's looking to occupy the building, is a sales tax generator, does plan to hire up to 2 additional people in the coming years, and for those reasons, we recommend the approval of the reclassification.
Ask if we have anybody in the audience.
Yeah.
Do we have anybody in the audience? We have no one in the audience. The public. Motion is now, public hearing is now closed. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Dave first, I can go second.
I can't always hear you, I'm sorry.
So moved.
Trustee Vogel,
Second.
second by trustee here. Roll call, please.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hare?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Evans-Scott?
Yes.
Items 13.2, resolution indicating municipal approval of a Cook County real estate Class 6B property tax exemption to Michael Bauer, property owner.
Do we have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Adgiris, second by trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hare?
Yes.
Trustee Lang? President Evans-Scott?
Yes. Thank you. We look forward to doing business. I'm sorry.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Okay.
See, we're going to have to change this now. Thank you very much, and we look
Thank you.
forward to the business.
Appreciate it, thanks.
Good luck.
Thank you.
One thing real quick, it's nice to see a village trying to support manufacturing. It's a tough environment out there, and I went through a work program in high school. My oldest brother's a doctor. My second oldest brother works for the government. He's got, I don't know how many degrees. My sister had a congressional scholarship. All I've ever wanted to do is work. And I own 2 businesses, and I love to work. And it's nice to see a village stand behind and try to help young kids, because my parents didn't understand me not wanting to go to college. And I was fortunate enough to start in a company that supported young people. And it's nice to see whether it's Peter or the fellas that were here or the village because you don't hear anybody talk about manufacturing. And it's great to have a college degree. I put both my kids through school, and they both work for me. But if they had been plumbers, I would just have been as happy. And the world needs plumbers, too. That's the fact of it, so.
That's true.
But, thank you.
Before you leave, if I might, Madam President, envelopes for the people that wondering what kind of custom envelopes you make. Is it commercial or-
Manufacture everything. You open up your bills, ComEd, Discover, Visa solicitations, different marketing type things. Currently, our biggest customers are, right now, one of our biggest is Leo Burnett, which does all the stuff for Philip Morris and the cigarette type stuff. We do a lot of business with Discover, which is all local. I've been in business for 13 years now, 11 years in Buffalo Grove, and I've been leasing, looking to do the American Dream, actually have some of my money go to equity into a building, and that's what we're working at.
Very good.
And, we're hanging in there, and it's great, and with saving a little bit of money here, the high school programs, I'd like to get with Peter too, just as you come through internships or just, when I went to high school, there's vocational programs where kids, would go work at the bank as a bank teller, or they go to Lake County College to do different things. So, definitely I'd like to be part of the community, and, I appreciate the opportunity. It's a big step, and I'm excited about it.
Thank you. Welcome.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
It's a lot of envelopes.
Thank you very much.
Item 13D is 2 ordinance regarding 1900 South Wolf Road. Number 1, ordinance granting variations from Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code relating to the existing configuration of the site at 1900 South Wolf Road.
Mr. Janik?
This petition, as well as the next one, concerns a building, existing building in Wheeling. It previously was used for rental of videos. It was a family video outlet, which then they owned the building. As you know, Family Video constructed a new building at the corner of Hints and Elmhurst Road. This building now, what they're interested in doing is turning into a pizza restaurant. The restaurant is mostly for carry-out. They do have 12 seats on the inside, but generally speaking, most of the business is expected to be carry-out. The 2 petitions you have, one is for variations and one is for the special use. The variations deal with existing variations of the building and the site. Can't do much about it. The building has been in place for a long time. The setback variations that you see are existing, as well as the green space. There is green space on the site. A lot of it is in the right-of-way. But what they're requesting as part of this docket is variations from existing condition variations.
Do we have any questions? Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by trustee Vogel,
Second.
second by trustee Heer. Roll call, please.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Heer?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Abiscato?
Yes.
Item 13D2, ordinance granting a special use and associated site plan and building appearance approval to establish and operate a restaurant at 1900 South Wolf Road.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Agiris, second by trustee Vogel. Roll call, please.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Heer?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Abiscato?
Yes.
Item 13E, ordinance granting special use approval for a martial arts specialty school within an existing industrial building at 662 South Wheeling Road.
Mr. Janik?
Yes, this petition is for a specialty school relative to the zoning code. It's a martial arts school, requires a special use to be located in the village. They're interested in taking approximately 5,500 square feet in an existing industrial building on South Wolf Road. There's plenty of parking at this location, and that's it.
South Wheeling.
South Wheeling Road, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Do we have any questions, or do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Agiris, second by trustee Heer. Roll call, please.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hare?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Abiscato.
Yes.
Item 13F, resolution authorizing an amendment to the village manager's employment agreement.
So move.
Motion made by trustee Juris, second by trustee Lang. Roll call, please.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Hare?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Abiscato.
Yes.
Item 13G, discussion regarding purchase and installation of an AMR water meter reading system in the village.
Mr. Fundilis.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, we didn't make that title easy, did we?
No, you
This evening, we're going to be hearing and seeing a presentation from a consultant that we have hired to present to the board a project that we have been anticipating through the past several budget cycles, which deals with the replacement of all of our residential and commercial water meters. We have known for quite some time that there is an expected lifespan on a water meter, and that the time was coming that we would have to look at a wholesale replacement program for all of our residential and commercial meters. This project has been anticipated and in fact is incorporated at full value in this year's CIP. So this is something, again, that we have been looking towards for the past several years. And to that end, staff has spent the last several months exhaustively looking through options for what we can do when it comes to the equipment of water meters themselves. As water is the most tangible service that we provide to our residents, it's imperative that we have a device that is able to not only deliver the water but measure its use as well. And this evening's program, I'm going to turn it over to Public Works Director Stavros here in a moment. We're going to talk about the replacement program itself, the specific equipment that's being considered, and why that equipment has been the chosen one for this replacement, the process that the residents and businesses will go through as we cycle from the old into the new, and of course how to pay for the new equipment and what the future holds as far as replacement programs as we look beyond the next 20 years. So with that, I'll turn it over to Director Stavros, and we'll begin our presentation.
Thank you, John. Madam President, Board, good evening. As you remember, we were here a couple times, and the reason that we're doing this is twofold. One is that the current system that's in place is no longer supported. Therefore, we cannot when the collector goes down, if we're trying to read the meters as they drive by and the collector goes down, the collector has to be sent to Georgia for repairs, and we have no way of reading our water meters. The system that was purchased back 20 years ago was produced by Elster Amco. They manufactured it. Badger Meters sold it. They had the lease rights to it. When the lease ran out with Badger Meter, Elster Amco decided not to renew the lease, which then made us a third party, and they would not support their equipment. We've been borrowing and stealing from other organizations that have had the trace system, that have no longer using it. They've gotten rid of it, and any equipment that they had, they have sent over to us. We've called around, and that's how we're still operating. As of last week, we just ordered another 100 batteries for transmitters. So the system needs to be replaced ASAP. So there was key issues when we started this project, and they were transponder batteries were past their life expectancy. The reading system components were not being supported any longer, as I said. There was also revenue loss due to the inaccuracy of meters. Those meters, some of those meters have been in 20 years. The commercial meters have been in as long as 40, 50 years. When you have a large commercial meter that's not reading correctly, you have revenue loss. Staffing, as well as customer service, which was a big issue. And whatever system we decided to go with, they had to produce something that would support the customer service on our end for Michael's division. The team was made up of public works staff, finance, and IT. So with that, in October, we hired a consultant from Water Accountability LLC. He has a long list of credentials. We hired him to give us a hand to get this thing going, get it off dead center. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Tom Jacobowski.
Thank you, Tony. Good evening, Madam President, trustees, city manager, and staff. As Tony said, I've been in the business for about 32 years now, specifically as a consulting engineer and looking at water accountability, anything to do with meters, water losses, and distribution systems across the country and internationally. I really, when I came on board, we wanted to look at and define the village's needs, really the system requirements. So we all sat down and redefined those, where we were going, what we needed, what was the best fit for the village. So we looked at the proven technology out there. As you all know, with technology, it's ever changing. They say a life of a computer is maybe 16 months or so, and there's new software, hardware, and everything else out with it. We looked at two-way communication, so you could actually get the data from the meter and get it to the city hall, and the information transferred back from the city hall to that meter if necessary. So that's really a new trend. Before it was only one way or one and a half way. Two-way communication was key in regard to the newer technology. We wanted to reduce the number of collectors, those are the antennas that are selected on top of water towers, to minimize those, because if you minimize those, there's less maintenance on having less collectors out there for future maintenance, obviously. One of the key issues was inside mounted units, or meter interface units. They're called MIUs. They have to be inside the customer's buildings. So with that restriction, you really needed these collectors out there, and the best collectors with the highest propagation of the radio frequencies possible. The demand reads or near demand reads were necessary, so if you want to do a final bill or close out, you could do that within a telephone call with the customer to close out their bill. Flexibility for future technology. You really don't want to be locked into one certain type of meter or technology. So let's say the situation you guys had with Badger and the Trace Network, we needed not that to happen again. So flexibility to move with other technologies and other meter manufacturers were key. The no lead or low lead meters, now a number of utilities, cities, regional authorities are looking at no lead for these meters. So we use NSF 61 Annex GH, was the California restrictions of having no lead in those meters. Also the interface to make it seamless with your existing billing system, and obviously the cost. Key considerations were, if we're going to look at this, let's get a firm that's well established, that's been around, has the experience, has the meters installed in other utilities, and make sure those are working properly. Flexibility for future applications. As I said, technology is always changing, so we want to be flexible for the future. These assets now will be 20 years, and we want to make sure they're working for that 20-year asset life. As Tony said, your meters now, I think the newest are 17, 18 years, and there's some of them out there that are 40, 45 years. AWWA, that's American Water Works Association, which I chair a committee for, recommends that meters' asset life is 15 to 20 years for typical utilities. So you've met or exceeded that asset life for those meters. Looking at technical support, any firm that you hire needs to give field or on-site support along with any telephone support for that 20 years. State of the art, we don't want to be cutting edge or bleeding edge. We want to be state of the art or the kind of cutting edge right there and not take the chance that this technology may change quickly in the future. So consumption is important for conservation and for people to understand what's fair and equitable in regard to what they use. You want to pay for what you use as a customer. So consumption analysis and knowing what you use is important. Also, the FCC license has to do with having a primary license and the wattage, the power that can be used from those collectors to be talking to those meters, especially with these inside sets. Proposal activities, before I even came on board, you put out an RFP. 15 were distributed to vendors. 12 of those were received. We did another review of those 12 proposals, and through that evaluation, shortlisted 4 of the vendors. With that shortlist, we did then ask them or requested cost proposals for them and any updates in regard to their technology from the original RFP or proposal that was submitted. The 4 were Water Resources, Water Products, Mid-America, and HD Supply. The evaluation was very comprehensive. We really looked at the technology, qualifications. There were 2 pilot programs through Datamatic and Census that looked at the actual equipment and analyzed the equipment on site in the village. The interviews and demonstrations, we did our due diligence in regard to the reference checks, and now have reviewed the cost proposals. The interviews were, as I say, were very comprehensive. We set apart 2 full days, 4-hour windows for each of the shortlisted firms, and asked them all the questions, had them demonstrate the equipment, the software, review their deployment plans, and meet with them face-to-face to see who's going to be working here for the entire project. Recommendations. The committee, the selection committee, recommended HD Supply Waterworks. They were the lowest cost proposal, meeting the requirements that we set up, the village's needs, and this price is this shy of $3.4 million, including all contingencies.
If I can interrupt for just 1 second, just before, I'm sure it's on everyone's mind, and before Michael comes up and gives a little more detailed presentation, the amount we were looking at was $3.5 million. So this is below what we had anticipated the project coming in at. So I'm sure everyone's thinking it.
And I apologize if there's any questions that come up during my presentation, please throw them at me while we're on that slide, then we can take care of them. Really, this is background now on the selected or recommended, I should say, firm. The general contractor or prime contractor is HD Supply Waterworks. They're the largest waterworks distributor in the U.S. As you see, 265 branches in 41 states. They are part of the local Chicago district with branches in Carroll Stream, Lake Bluff, Belvedere, Mokina. 40 years in Illinois and over 20 years working directly with the village. As you see, annual sales is $12 billion, and they have been and are still working for 175 communities in the Chicago area. Under HD, as the general contractor, is the technology provider Census. They have over 100 years in business with $866 million in net sales. They are really a global leader, market leader in metering, not only in water, but gas and electric. 4,000 employees with 41 worldwide facilities. Here's just an example of water, electric, gas, and combinations of those for meter reading with the FlexNet or the fixed network that the village is looking at. So they've done a broad area of installations and are using this technology in these 200-plus communities. Really, to simplify the process by a diagram here, is the consumption information is collected on the meter. The meter then takes that data, transforms that into the receiver or transmitter. Sometimes it's called the meter interface unit. And then that meter interface unit that's in the rafters, inside mounted in the residence building, is then sent out to a collector. Basically it's an antenna that 11-foot tall on top of your water tower, and then that information is transferred to the village, and vice versa. That information then can be sent back to reprogram that meter if there's any alarms that may go off in regard to leakage, tampering, and the like. So it's really a two-way process. The meters that we're looking at as a village is the iPearl, which is the residential meter, and the commercial industrial meter. We have example of the iPearl right here, and the MIU or the transmitter. Pass that around. It's really a composite resin, as you see here, with no lead in the system, and a no-lead commercial industrial meter, which is a turbine meter.
There's also no brass in this meter, which is, well, I guess there never was, right?
Which is concerned with the lead, because brass is made with a composite lead. Speaking directly of the residential meter, it's 100% lead-free, and that's a concern. I think in the future, you're going to be looking at requirements for utilities for any replacement of piping requiring lead-free. Low flow performance. A meter typically is a mechanical device. This is a magnetic flux meter. There's no moving parts in them. With the mechanical meters that are installed, over time they slow down, they wear out. So you get inaccurate reads, typically on the low end. So these meters are, and typically on the low end also, the meters that are manufactured, the positive displacement meters, cannot register much more below a quarter gallon per minute. So if you have like a leaky flapper valve in your toilet, things that are really slow, small flows or leaks, those aren't picked up by the meter. These meters can pick that up. Very high accuracy, guaranteed for 20 years of accuracy, which is somewhat unheard of in the industry. It's a great warranty. As I said, no moving parts, and it can really improve customer service because of the technology and the alarms and the leak detection and the tamper and the backflow that this meter can give you. In regard to the commercial meters, it's 100% low lead. This turbine meter can pick up extremely low flows. It can also register high flows with great accuracy, and there's really only one moving part. It's a turbine, or it's like a fan that registers the amount of water moving through that fan. Because of the one moving part, there's low maintenance on these. And they're all testable in place. As you can see on this picture, this is a test plug and a screen and then the register. So this test plug provides you to test these meters in place instead of removing the meter from on site. To talk about the customer service, really the alarms and the available reporting is reverse flow, so it can pick up reverse flow. Tampers, anybody that cuts the wires or tampers with the meter or turns the meter around, it'll red flag the village. Any empty pipe, any leaks in the system, whether there be no flows or leaks or continuous leaks or large breaks, this will red flag you. Typically with your system now, it's 2 months turnaround on consumption information. Now, if somebody had a leak and they get a high bill, they're not going to get information for at least 2 months. Here for customer service, you can inform the customer within that day that they have high flows or there's a potential leak in their system, reducing any high bills and complaints. A lot of this information has to do with dispute resolution. You can actually see the flows immediately on the usage, and if a customer has a concern on high or low flows, they can talk to customer service and pull up that information immediately. So sometimes people forget that they were running the hose overnight or filling a swimming pool and wondering why they have a high bill. You can look back to the actual date and hour that they were using water. In regard to flexibility, we looked at future operational capabilities. This thing can be fully web-based portal. That means the customer can actually pull this up on the web, their information, on a daily basis if they would like, to see how much water they actually used or how much water their daughter or son used in regard to taking too long of a shower. So it also helps them understand use of water and use of conservation. Shut-off valve is a possibility because of two-way communication. I've seen it where it's a transient community, such as a college community, where there's a lot of move-in and move-outs, or specific customers are always moving in and moving out. You can actually turn off the water, final bill them, and turn it on when a new customer moves in without bringing staff out and vehicles out to do the valve turning. Acoustic leak detection. This can be hooked up. Any leak in a system makes a sound. It's like somebody turns water on in your house and you can hear that shower running if they're taking a shower. That's the sound of a leak. This can be deployed out into a distribution system with one of the MIUs registering the sound that leak makes, and you can actually go out there and find those leaks before they become a problem in regard to icing or flooding. They also have pressure sensors, for engineering and determining low and high pressures. Can kind of give you some ideas that there might be leaks in the area. You can actually hook up pressure sensors. And there's a number of other capabilities that with this two-way system in the future you can perform. Here's an example of the kind of advanced metering I've been talking about. Here's a picture of really a diurnal fluctuation, the use in a single day of consumption and the consumption pattern. If you can see here these little blue scales here, if you see those blue scales continuously throughout the day, you know you have a leak in the system. This is a single day of information. This is what customer services would see, and this is some of the information that you could provide to the customer if there's any disputes. These are the alarms, any of a low battery voltage, cut wires, tampers, backflows, leakage, broken pipes. So it also helps in regard to rate setting and management. I know you're running not only a water distribution system and providing water, but you're providing sewer service. Now you build your sewer off the water meter. Now if you're losing revenue and not capturing the accurate read on the water meter, you're also not capturing the actual read for the sewer service provided. Well, here's the big question that I think I'm going to let Mike handle. It's how do we look at the element of cost?
Thank you. Sooner or later, it always comes back to me, doesn't it? So the question on everybody's mind is how do we pay for this? And there's more than one way to pay for it, but the way that makes the most sense to me is to sell general obligation bonds. These would be bonds that would have a 20-year maturity. which coincides perfectly with the life expectancy of the project, which is also 20 years, as you heard. And the reason that that's important is because we always try to match the life of the asset to the length of time that it costs to pay for it. The advantages to selling bonds, if we don't sell bonds, we would have to impose a very large rate increase to come up with the money necessary to pay for this project. And I don't think anyone wants to see that. In addition, as you all know, we're working in a very low municipal bond interest rate environment right now. We just sold refunding bonds, general obligation refunding bonds, a few months ago, and the rate that we got was under 3%. So this is a very opportune time to issue debt. And then there's the issue of intergenerational equity, which you've heard me talk about before, but normally I talk about it with respect to the pension funds. And basically this is just the concept that says you want to have the people who are benefiting from a service be the ones who actually pay for it. So if we pay for this project over the 20-year life of the meters, the people who are living in Wheeling now will pay their fair share of the project, as will people who are in Wheeling 10 or 15 years from now. And then the last point I wanted to make is that because this is water and sewer revenue, it would have no impact on the tax levy. This would be debt that we would issue, and the principal and interest on the bonds would be paid off with revenue from the water and sewer fund. So I think that's the best approach in terms of how we pay for this project. And quite frankly, we don't have $3.5 million in the bank right now to pay for this up front. So I think it's really the approach that makes the most sense. If anybody has any questions about
Do you
that.
have any questions? Trustee Brady.
Michael, you say we can pay for this out of the water the fund. Do we have an excess of money in the water fund?
We have enough money in the fund now to meet our fund balance requirement, which is, like the general fund, is 25% of operating expenditures, but certainly not enough to pay for this project and maintain those reserves.
If we bought a $3.5 million bond, do we have enough money to cover the interest on that?
Yes.
Without raising the rates?
We'll have to continue to raise the rates in the future as we have in the past. The village has been very consistent in terms of raising the water and sewer rate in order to pay for projects like this, the proactive water main maintenance replacement program, and other projects like this. So there's always going to be a need for a water rate increase, but no larger than what we've done in past years.
But this is adding another burden to that, what that increases every year. If we increase the fund every year to cover the increased costs of running a water system, how is this going to get covered in there?
Because the increases that we have implemented on an annual basis were always necessary to pay for not only the operating costs of the water and sewer system, but also the capital needs, this being one of them. So just like a water main replacement program, this just gets factored into the same equation.
Like the capital fund? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Trustee Jones.
Thank you. Sorry. Michaels, Tony, John. Have you guys done a staff analysis on cost savings, making the investment, a capital investment on this program based on the way we're doing business today and how we've done it in the past? Do you foresee some type of cost savings, whether it be labor, whether it be not collecting properly, or a waste of product like we're doing right now, that maybe in the long term, maybe some of that servicing that based on some cost savings could be recaptured down the road? Do you foresee that?
Yeah, I won't speak for Tony, but I know that we've talked a lot about this in terms of what the payback is for a project like this, and I think the AWWA standards are about 10 years for a system like this. But we expect to see increased revenue from water that's not being read by our existing meters, and savings in terms of labor because we're not sending somebody out to read the meters or potentially to turn them off and so forth.
I'll speak for Tony. As Michael said, there are two main factors. We do, without putting a number to it, we do expect to see an increase in revenue simply because we are more accurately gauging water use from both a residential and commercial standpoint. Additionally, as Michael was referencing, we currently have 2 water meter readers that are dedicated to not only reading but going and doing maintenance and service to those meters. We would hope that their service time being so drastically reduced would allow at least one of them to rejoin the rest of the maintenance operator force in that division. So we do see that we would have some operational increase in the water and sewer, the utility division.
And hopefully that is true. And we can always pay down the bond before maturity, and we can possibly keep rates in check based on if we are making some money and recapturing some of the existing expenditures that we have now where they're not as severe as they've been in the last few years. So, I mean, there's some planning there on your guys that I would hope to see, that you're not going to get those answers right away, but down the road, I'm sure you will.
Right. We can gauge that once we have several months under our belt to see what the average savings per month has been.
Good. Thanks.
Madam President?
Trustee Lang.
Question for Tony. How long would the build-out take, and would we do it ourselves?
No, the contract is for HG Supply to install them. Actually, they have a subcontractor that does this. That's all they do is install meters. They're all licensed plumbers. I can, maybe I'll have Tom talk about it a little bit, or Mark.
We looked at originally a 2-year program for installation, but after discussion and after seeing the installs throughout the country, I think it's very feasible to do it in less than a year to a year. That way you could save on some of their bonding in regard to overall cost. So we're looking at approximately a year to have this installed. That's about 200 meters a week, you know, with holidays and bad weather and things like that. So I think it's feasible. I just wrapping up a project in Dubuque. We did 400 meters a week for 2 years, 24,000 meters, and it wasn't an overburden. We're done in about 18 months.
Well, since it's all inside work, typically how does the homeowner or business owner get contacted for replacement?
Yeah, it is all inside work. They would all get a mailing letting them know, plus there's some public information that we would need to provide, setting up areas first that are going to be first installed. I think it's really important to have that, some public information, let them know. You'll have a letter in the mail coming to you. If you don't respond on the letter, you'll be called. You'll set up a schedule. You can either set up a schedule through a call or sometimes it's web-based. Many times it's kind of 3 strikes and you're out. We'll contact the resident a minimum of 3 times. If that doesn't work, we use door hangers to contact them so we can get into their house. There's always some difficulties trying to get into everybody's house, but worst case is if the installer throws up their hands, it's kind of thrown at the village to make those calls, how to contact those people. And many times you might have snowbirds in the area, they're not in the area, you put them on a list to go install once they're back in the springtime.
And would there be evening and weekend installations for folks who work?
There is typically a 10-hour day, so you can catch maybe some of the people that start later in the morning or get done after or are home by 5 o'clock, so you can work till 6 or 7 o'clock. And a lot of the larger industrial commercial meters are installed on weekends or off hours because you can't put those people out of service of water. So it is, the logistics of scheduling is pretty large here in regard to a program like that. And we leave it up to people that are skilled at that. They have a person typically 24 hours on the telephone service to schedule these, and then it's laid out as a program to do the logistics to properly work your way through the village and get these installs done. Usually, we select areas first, do 95% of the installs in that area before we move to the next area.
And last question, how long typically would it take in a home to replace that meter?
Usually 20 minutes to an hour, somewhere in that ballpark. I would think 30 minutes.
On average. Thank you.
Madam President?
Trustee Brady.
Thank you. What's the life expectancy of this meter and unit?
20 years.
20 years.
20 years. Actually, for the electronics in it, they've done a model to push this out for your typical use on this unit. Since they haven't been in the ground 20 years, for a reference, the model has come up with 23 years plus for the operation of these meters and the batteries for the meters.
So 23 years from now, we'll have to go through this all again and replace all these meters again.
Well, that's the asset life of the meters.
$200,000 a year that we're putting out here for something it's going to be perpetual then, just to read meters. How many local repair or offices or that do you have for this system here in the Chicago area, for parts and labor and service?
Well, I know they have 4 offices locally, but...
Because on the map you showed us, there were no pins in Chicago for the water systems.
That was the FlexNet system, which is the fixed network that is being recommended for the village. And there's 4 units locally in regard to using this technology. Throughout the country, there's 200 plus of these units.
But they're all out east. I mean, is this something that's going to come back to bite us? We have a problem here, we can't get service on this thing?
No, since I would hope not. I would think since they have the local presence, they have the 4 office locally, they're both well-established firms. We're hoping that then they'll be around more than 20 years, definitely.
Thank you, that's all.
If I can interject and piggyback on that answer, that's one of the reasons we decided to go this route, was because we were having trouble finding a local distributor and a local presence with some of the other systems. In fact, several of our, Tony and Tim went to Colorado to see another system that was an option, and that was one of the main factors in not recommending that system for use here, because we didn't want to be a guinea pig and leave our residents without any opportunity to respond should a meter go bad. So this was the best option of many, many that we looked into.
Do you have any other questions? You're looking for direction from the board?
The next steps, as the slide says here, is what we will do is, assuming that the board agrees that we move forward, we will work with our attorney and put together the contracts that are necessary, and hopefully within the next 4 weeks come back to the board with all the paperwork to get the project in motion.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Meet to your satisfaction?
Yes, absolutely.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee here?
Yes.
Trustee Adjuris?
Yes.
And Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
And myself, so we would hope that you would do that, and we can have that within 4 weeks.
And if anyone from the audience would like to see the meter, it's located right up here if you just want to come forward and have an opportunity to look at it. Thank you, we appreciate it.
I'd just like to add one thing. You'll notice in that slide, the last 2 subjects is a pilot startup milestone. It's been the experience of Tom, and he's a lot more experience with this than I have, to do a pilot of maybe 500 meters. Get the 500 meters installed, make sure that everything is working the way it's supposed to work, and the installation's going as smooth as it's supposed to. If not, after that 500 meters, we regroup, find out where the issues are, and get them resolved before we just go out there with 8,000 meters and try to put them all in.
Good job.
So,
That's good.
Smart.
Excellent. Thank you. We have any official communications?
Madam President.
Trustee Brady?
Thank you. I noticed in our our weekly pack, that Sergeant Comodi is starting to meet with the International Law Enforcement Educators Training Association, which is the convention or conference that they hold here in Wheeling every year. I think this is the 4th or maybe 5th year that they're holding here. And, this is an elite group of police chiefs and trainers from around the world that come to Wheeling. And I think maybe we should show our appreciation by this year, seeing if we can get a little help, a little entertainment from the high school, like maybe one of the singing groups or maybe part of the band to put on a little show for them at their opening ceremonies, play a little, music, patriotic music at the onset of the posting the colors or something. I think it'd be a nice gesture on the village's part to show them that we like them being here. They bring a lot of attention to the village of Wheeling, a lot of good attention. So if it's a pleasure to the board, I'd like to see if somebody contact the high school and see if a little program could be put together in conjunction with the police department on this matter.
If I may recommend, our chief and our deputy chief have much going with that group when they do come. I think, was it in August when they come?
It's April 16th
April?
through the 21st.
Wasn't paying attention. April, it's right around the corner.
Coming up.
So if that would be the pleasure, we'll have the chief and the deputy chief
I think it'd be a nice gesture.
check,
Yeah, we can reach out to them.
because they have a very nice opening ceremony when they have it. Trustee Adjuris,
You want to go first?
I have nothing tonight.
Really? Then I'll go.
Well, I
afraid
would
to
not, I would not stop you
Great
from
minds think
going.
alike. That's why we always say things together, and I don't want to do that.
I might have to piggyback on what
You
you
might have
say,
to
see?
piggyback, okay. Just some really troubling news today regarding a good friend of our community, which is our good senator from the state of Illinois, and I know I can speak probably for everybody here that we wish good prayers and good fortune to him to come. Senator Kirk suffered a stroke. A lot of people had heard today, and kind of shocking when you see a guy that takes care of himself and who's active and at my age too, 52 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Really, driving today really put things in perspective. You never know. So my prayers and thoughts are to him and his family, and good luck, Senator. You'll be back. You're a fighter, like everybody said. You'll be here. Thank you. That's all.
We have anything else? We have no executive session this evening. May I have a motion?
So move. Second.
Motion made by trustee here, second by trustee Lang. Roll call, please.
Trustee Argyris?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Abiscato?
Yes. Meeting is adjourned.
Everybody be careful.